online.
All right, welcome everybody. We'll go ahead and call our Sherwood City Council regular meeting, May 20th, 2025, to order at 7:03. We're going to all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everybody. Sylvia, roll call.
Mayor Rosner?
Here.
Council President Young?
Here.
Councilor Browse?
Here.
Councilor Scott?
Here.
Councilor Stankey?
Here.
Councilor Giles?
Here.
And Councilor Mays?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sylvia. Approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Looks like that motion passes. Thank you, Council. All right, we'll move into the consent agenda. We have 6 items on the consent agenda tonight. Approval of the May 6, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. Item B is Resolution 2025-026, authorizing the city manager to execute a construction contract for the Glen Eagle Regional Stormwater Facility Project. Item C is Resolution 2025-027, adopting a plan of action for financial control deficiencies. Item D is Resolution 2025-028, adopting the Capital Improvement Plan, otherwise known as the CIP. Item E is Resolution 2025-029, authorizing an interphone loan from the Water Fund to the 2021 URA Capital Project Fund, item E. And item F is Resolution 2025-030, authorizing the city manager to sign a construction contract with North Sky Communication for broadband construction. Very excited about that one.
I move consent.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Council. Citizen comments. Sylvia, do we have any?
I have none.
And I'm seeing none online. So we will move right through citizen comments to presentations. Just as a lead-in for this, we just recently approved creating a youth advisory committee. I think we're calling it a board. Much like the other advisory boards the City Council has, we have a seniors advisory board, a police advisory board, a library advisory board, and cultural arts, etc. And we just think this is a great way to get kids involved in our community and learn a little bit about what local government does. But as part of that, and we just started this year, we as a city go to the National League of Cities City Conference in DC every year. It's a chance for us to lobby on behalf of the cities and work with other mayors and electeds and counselors from around the country and network and learn best practices and all that fun. But this year we took 5 kids from our local school district with us, and we have them here tonight to talk to us for a little bit. So we at least have 4 of them. So if you guys want to come on up. 80% turnout, yes. To be fair, I think one of you had to work tonight, unfortunately, if I remember.
They're all responsible youth, whether they're here or working.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming tonight. Maybe we, you know who we are. Why don't you maybe we start with introductions?
Jack. All right, I'm Jack Boyklund. I'm a high school senior. I'm Trevor. I'm a junior at Sherwood.
I'm Janessa. I'm a senior at Sherwood. I'm Kylie, and I'm a senior.
And that's Cassie in the middle. She's also a senior.
Oh, there's Cassie. Well, awesome. Well, thanks for coming tonight. I'm sure council has some questions, but do you guys want to tell us a little bit about the trip and what you learned and what you got out of it? What was your favorite part? All that fun stuff.
Is it red?
Red is...
That one's red, that one's green. Don't ask us.
There you go.
Yeah, so we went. We were so grateful for you guys for inviting us to this. It was a great opportunity. We got to attend the youth portion of the National League of Cities conference. We learned a lot about problem solving. They used the Unleash. I believe it's like an organization, and they have kind of a, like a process for problem solving. And so we got to learn a little bit about that. But it was also just really cool to get to interact with other youth advisory councils from across the country and see what projects they're working on, the format of their youth advisory councils. And yeah, we also got to go lobby in Capitol Hill as well. But yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to add that, we're not ready for that, sorry. Because this is the first year, like next year will be the first year with the Youth Advisory Council, we were all chosen because we're part of Sherwood High School's Youth in Government program. And so we all had to apply and got chosen to go this year. So we're really grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about this pin.
So there were, I think, a couple of pins that Mayor Rosner had to give, and we, I think, rock, paper, scissored for them. And then when we got to Senator Merkley's office on Capitol Hill, we convinced, I believe it was Cassie, who's not here, to give up her pin so we could put it on his map of everyone who's visited his office. And it was really cool.
And I believe I owe you, I committed to giving you
Yes.
replacement pins. I still need to do that, but we'll get all of you another pin. So, yeah.
You can go to the next slide. Perfect. So the first thing we really wanted to touch on was the NLC conference itself and all of our experiences there. So if anyone wants to start. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think sort of the main goal of this conference was to get like youth more engaged in their cities, like decision-making processes. And what for most of the conference, what they had us do is they split us into different groups that were randomized. So we were like together with different people from all around the nation, and they had us come up with different like themes of ideas about ways that we can engage in our cities and like engage youth in the cities.
Yeah, and so this year the format I think was a little bit different than from what we'd heard from youth advisory counselors that had gone previous years. So we learned about the Unleash program and we worked in our groups. It was actually really cool. We got to meet a lot of new people. I think there was someone from Miami, someone from Colorado, and someone from Arizona in my group. So it was just really cool to like meet all these different people from different places. And we all worked together to brainstorm issues or holes we saw in our city, and we got to use the Unleash method to create solutions to these problems. And so we really just targeted one problem that we might have seen across like all of our different cities that we're from, and worked together to find a solution. Not only did we work on this specific issue, but I think it was also just really useful to learn like this method for any kind of problem, any like project you want to work on. But yeah.
What was the top?
What was your issue?
Yeah.
So me and Kylie, we were in the same group, and we were in the housing or like urban development category of the conference. So we focused a lot on not just necessarily like homeless people, but people who may be struggling to like make rent every month, and people who, might be on the decline and might not, like kind of the slippery slope into homelessness. So we worked on a solution, which I think, Kylie, we called it mixed income housing. We came up with a catchy name for it, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
It was really catchy though.
But yeah, and there were also some really fun parts of the conference too. We got to hear a lot of cool guest speakers. We heard like the mayor of DC, the mayor of Waco, Texas speak, a couple of really cool high school aged students who were super accomplished. So it was really cool to hear these guest speakers, and then we also had a lot of fun like banquets where we got to like mix with other high schoolers and just meet a lot of people. So yeah.
I think that was probably my favorite part of the conference, was meeting people from all over. The group that I was split into was the most diverse from all over the nation, which had its own unique challenges. There was a girl who wanted to focus on gang activity in her town and solving that, which wasn't something that I could relate to. And we had people from Texas and Florida and all over. And so it was really interesting hearing about the issues that other schools and other cities have that I couldn't relate to, and helping them come up with solutions from like a fresh set of eyes, which was really cool. Also, one of my favorite parts was we had a lady named Carolyn who was a volunteer for the program and helped my group specifically, and she like meeting her and her advice was really truly life-changing for me. She actually impacted what I decided to major in college, and she worked in many different parts of the federal government, but was currently working for the Army Corps of Engineers, and it just was so cool getting to hear from someone who is doing what I want to do and working in the federal government. And I think I learned so much from her and so much from the conference that I will always carry that with me.
I feel like you three really covered it, but the only other thing I could think of was when we were in the conference, I think the bulk of it was identifying a problem in our community and then coming up with a solution. And it was really broken down into a lot of steps of the conference, but I think in essence it really like emulated what we do in youth and government as well. And I'm really grateful that Sherwood High School and Sherwood City Council has like invested in that education for youth. Because the skill set that comes with like identifying a problem in your community and collaboratively coming up with a solution is totally invaluable, and you're investing in your future leaders. So I'm really grateful that you guys gave us that opportunity, and I found that very valuable to my own education.
Yeah. If I could add that picture on the screen is me speaking with the president of the National League of Cities, and that was a really cool moment. He was so invested in getting youth involved, and I really appreciated that coming from the president and getting to speak with him. He's the mayor of
Athens, Ohio.
Yeah, somewhere in Ohio. Yeah, Athens, Ohio. And so that was just a really cool experience in networking and getting out of my comfort zone and talking to someone who was like the top dog, and he was so like eager to hear from all of us, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
Well, I ran into Jack at one of the special speakers. What speaker do you...
Oh yeah, it's our Vice President JD.
Yes.
But yeah, we also had the really unique opportunity to go meet Senator Merkley. This was a opportunity that I personally was really looking forward to. It was just so neat. We got to meet his assistants, and they were really kind and helpful. And then we got to sit down and actually talk with Senator Merkley and just like pitch our ideas to him and like show him what we kind of wanted to see from him and his like role as a senator. And I thought it was just a super cool and unique experience.
Yeah, I also got to meet with Andrea Salinas with some other Oregon cities and city councilors. We talked a lot just about like car-free infrastructure and things like that. It's really exciting. I brought up our new pedestrian bridge, and she was actually mentioned how she was like driving through Sherwood to get to McMinnville, and she noticed like the first part of the bridge just went up. So it was really cool to like talk to her about that, and also just talk about how to expand things like this further across our district, because I think a lot of suburban towns, especially places like Sherwood, you know, we've grown so much, and so with like our bigger populations in the last like few decades, growing with that and expanding like sidewalks and pedestrian bridges and areas for foot traffic. So I talked a lot with her about that.
It was really cool because when we met with Salinas, each city had sort of an already prepared question, but Trevor got to ask whatever he wanted, and to watch Andrea just really collaborate with him. They were like sitting chair to chair, like almost like the rest of us weren't in the room, and they were having this conversation, and it was a pretty good in-depth conversation.
Yeah, we were really lucky to talk not only with Senator Merkley, with his staffers. They were both from Oregon and now work permanently in DC with him, which was such a cool experience. They gave us all their contact information and a way to contact the intern supervisor. And one of his staffers I actually arranged a Zoom call with a few weeks later, and she gave me a lot of good advice on college and the path from going to school in Oregon to working in DC, because that was something that I wasn't sure how that would work, since I was hoping to go to school in DC but couldn't, and just gave me a lot of hope for my future. It also was really awesome how Senator Merkley was really excited to talk to us about how we could get involved, and as how we're the next leaders, and it seemed like something he was very passionate about, which was really inspiring.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I have been to the Hill once before, and I found my visit quite disenchanting, actually. It kind of, and I don't know if you guys have felt this before if you've been to the Hill, but sometimes it feels like you're talking to a cement wall, and it's like performative listening to your constituents. But this time around, I was pleasantly surprised, and I felt like he genuinely wanted to listen to us. And staffers were very helpful with like connecting us with internships and business cards and all of that stuff. And they're definitely very like personable. So it was a much better visit than my first impression of the Hill. And yeah, I was really glad to be able to do that.
Yeah, just to add one more thing to kind of a combo of this slide and the last slide, I just really enjoyed how the NLC conference and going to lobby as well really just focused on like empowering local municipalities. I think like it really helped like strengthen my understanding, because there's so much in the news and all that kind of stuff, thinking the only like important things happen in like the federal government, but hearing from all these guest speakers, all these accomplished mayors, and going to like lobby for your city was really just like empowering and really like just like interesting and inspiring to learn like how much actually gets done at the city level, because you know we're really the ones like doing the work and communicating to the upper levels. So I just really liked how they really focused on like empowering these local governments.
Totally. And I mean, APUSH 101, lots of social change happens at the local level. We're trendsetters, so that's awesome.
So acronym, I know what APUSH is, but explain it to those listening.
AP US History.
Shout out to Mr. Wilson.
Shout out to Mr. Wilson.
So I have a question actually about the. Oh wait, are we going to continue on?
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay, so you mentioned that one of your big projects was identifying the problems in your local cities. What did you identify for Sherwood that we could potentially work on?
Did you solve our problems?
Did you
I think
solve
is
it?
what you're asking.
Can I just take notes on your
That's a good
solution?
question. Yeah, like we brought
Can
up
we just like switch seats now?
well, Trevor and I were in the same group, and we had urban development, and a lot of other groups talked about houselessness, but we're pretty well aware that Sherwood's a pretty affluent area, and so we more looked at infrastructure and how it reflects how our community functions. And what I mean by that is, like, is it walkable? Are people able to walk over to their neighbor's house or walk to get food with their neighbors? Are people able to live in a community without a car? Because these cities that are built with that infrastructure tend to become very individualistic. And in addition, we talked about mixed income housing, because in Sherwood, it's very much like you live next to people that could afford the same house as you, which naturally kind of breeds echo chambers within our city. Like you think of like Parrot Mountain. And so having mixed income housing kind of builds community and allows people to branch out across demographics and affluence levels.
Yeah, and like it helps people just kind of feel more connected. People help each other out and have a stronger sense of community. They feel like they have other people to rely on, and kind of like if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of thing. And going back to also just like car-free areas and car-free infrastructure, one idea that I came up with that I think if I was like on the Youth Advisory Council, which I'm hoping to spend next year on, I would love to find a time during the summer to not just, how Robin Hood Festival, we shut down the streets of Old Town and everyone comes together and, goes out to dinner and walks into Old Town. And something like that, I think for a longer period of time would be really cool. Just some of the like main small streets right in the middle of Old Town, shutting those down and opening them up for tables and bike racks and that kind of thing, just to really like promote people like walking over and hanging out, or just like spending time down there with our neighbors, but that's just kind of one idea I came up with at the conference.
And then our other idea was somehow, whether it be through positive reinforcement or regulation, incentivizing like the construction companies or like development companies to build mixed income housing or walkable areas, because I know that there are some out there that prioritize that. So yeah.
In my group, we were sort of focused on like youth engagement in the communities, and one idea that we came up with, which I thought was pretty cool and could be like implemented kind of well, was requiring students to do service hours, kind of like how NHS does it. But we thought that having students like being required to go out and do service hours like in the community would just like make them see more of how they can have an impact in their communities, and also maybe see some of the problems that they can like work with like city leaders to sort of fix and work on. Because I know in my time volunteering at NHS, like I've definitely maybe seen some issues that like could be worked on, and just like I've found that I have a deeper appreciation of the community by like working and doing service. And then also like in other schools, like I had one table mate from South Dakota, and she said that in her schools they also had like school requirements to do service hours and stuff like those.
Not a bad idea.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks.
You have any questions?
I'll just say, sounds like three of you are about ready to graduate.
Right here in a couple weeks or less. So congratulations to you all. And if you wanted to share what your plans are after that, you can. If you don't, that's fine too. And Trevor, you already answered my question if you were going to be applying for the board. It sounds like you are. So glad to hear that.
Do we have time to continue?
Oh, yeah.
You got plenty of time. You're the only thing on our agenda tonight.
We had this meeting just for you.
So for my group, we were focused on diversity and inclusion and how to foster that in communities, which is obviously not a problem you can solve in 3 days with our giant Post-it notes and everything. But it was really interesting hearing from other places and the issues that they have with diversity and inclusion. I think it's pretty well known that Sherwood is not a very diverse place racially and ethnically, whereas some of the groups I was talking to, they had a majority of people of color in their schools, and that was not their issue. And their issue, I think I mentioned it earlier, but was gang violence, and that becomes another type of inclusion where it is focused on bullying and violence and bringing groups together. And so for Sherwood, something we talked about was just continuing to uplift the different events we have that foster inclusion. We talked about Sherwood's Pride Festival that Trevor is organizing, and we talked about the different diversity groups we have at school, Multicultural Club, which is having their big multicultural performances tonight, and all the different student unions and stuff, and just making sure that we are uplifting those programs even if we're not a part of that group. And just even though we have like such a small minority of people of color, making sure that we are still focused on including them, even if it's not feasible for us to increase that population. We don't have control over that, but making sure that we do, because we do have control over making sure people feel comfortable and included in the community. And so that was really interesting to talk to people who are focused on that, because they do have a majority people of color, and getting their input and ideas and just really focused on that. So that was really cool.
Awesome.
And then this slide, we wanted to talk about all the opportunities we got to sightsee. We used every single spare minute of our time to go sightsee. We had no downtime, and it was the best thing ever.
How many miles do you think you walked?
So many.
200.
We walked so much. But I mean, just the pictures we have up here, we saw the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial. You have the Capitol there. We saw the White House. the Apple store that looked like it should be the White House.
Right?
It
Wasn't
was
that odd?
all of the architecture there is so amazing. It was
Library
really
of
cool.
Congress.
Library of Congress.
yeah.
That was really awesome. Another part of our Capitol Hill Day was exploring Capitol Hill.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
saw a bunch of cool museums.
Mhm.
National African American History Museum.
Yeah.
Was awesome.
The Holocaust,
Holocaust,
Museum was
yeah.
so touching. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that was probably the most impactful place for me.
And like I've definitely been on trips where I'm like, oh, another sightseeing, but this was genuinely the most fun I've ever had on a trip. Like Janessa said, we were literally out till like 10 p.m. looking at all the lit up monuments at night. But I was like just in awe, and I was so excited. I'm like, what's the next one? What's the next one? Like
Yeah.
I had so much fun, and it was just so fascinating and interesting and exciting to learn about.
Shout out to Miss McCusker
I was gonna
for
say,
taking
did you
us
have
around.
a very cool
Yeah.
staff member
She's the
who
best.
offered to go with you guys?
Oh, yeah.
I think she arrived and is sitting in the room.
Jack, you should talk about the special place we went for you.
Oh, the National Basilica. That one was pretty cool. It is just a really cool church. I also just had a great time. Like, I was nerding out so much. Like, it was so cool. Just like, you would walk by and see a building and like, oh, that's like the FBI. or
FBI.
headquarters.
Yeah.
And, like, we walked past Ford's Theater one day, and that was really cool. It's a lot of history.
Did you find at the National Basilica? Doesn't that have the Darth Vader gargoyle? Did you find that?
Oh, I think that's the National Cathedral.
Oh,
That's
National Cathedral. Okay.
The National Cathedral, I think, was closed when we.
Oh.
Well, it's on the outside, and you got to have good eyes to see it.
Wait, I think did you guys have some really fun dinners and with
The
some really
Titanic.
cool dinner mates
Yes, we
And
went
an amazing dessert.
and a dessert?
we got
Where's
a
the picture?
I didn't put it on the slides. I should have. A giant ice cream sundae. We shared it the whole table and didn't finish. It was so amazing. But we went to some really cool places. We went with Mayor Rosner and the counselors who were there, and that was really cool getting to talk to all of you and your experiences. We went to a place called Capitol Burger, which is a really famous burger place in DC on our first night, and just, yeah, really cool.
Janessa, I think Janessa texted us this a couple
No
weeks ago. At that Capitol Burger that we went to the first night, Kristi Noem, who I think is on the Trump administration, got her purse stolen.
Oh, she did. You're
From
right.
that same
I,
restaurant.
I saw the headline. I was like, that sounds so familiar. It was where we ate dinner on the first night. So some cool connections. That's crazy.
I only
What a
bring
small
up the
world.
dinners because while NLC and the conference was great, I think one of my favorite parts was the nights we got to sit and eat with the youth and just hear about their days. And they were always so excited to share. Like, there was no shy kid at the table, no shy or young adults. I mean, some of you are 18, you're already adults, but I mean, it was just great conversation. And it was Mayor, me, and then Councilor Browse, who's not feeling well, but she's on the screen up there, that got to go. So
That was one of my favorite parts of the trip too. It was just a lot of fun, really awesome sitting down.
Yeah.
with you
Sorry, I didn't mean to
guys.
interrupt.
No, you're fine.
I've had the opportunity to go to DC twice before for different conferences, and this is definitely where I've done the most sightseeing. And some of my favorite places were when we went to the National Portrait Gallery, which was so amazing, and then also the National Archives, where we saw the Constitution and the Declaration, which was really cool. And there was this little kid who was constantly asking how they stole those in the movie, how they could have done that. But it was cool just seeing, as a big history nerd and a government nerd from that perspective, but then also all of the pop culture stuff in DC. It was just so amazing.
Very cool.
I also really enjoyed the Library of Congress. It's a really beautiful building, and then also me and Miss McCusker got our library cards.
Oh,
there,
that's
which was
right.
awesome.
And then with this final slide, we just really wanted to say thank you to all of you who came with us, and thank you for this from the city for this opportunity. It was truly life-changing for all of us, and we really, really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much. We loved it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. And,
Yeah.
and you're welcome. But thank you. And
Yeah.
it
Oh,
was
and we have some thank you cards for you.
wow. You didn't have to do that.
And,
While he's, go ahead.
oh, we were
Janessa.
just going to say we are happy to answer any questions that you have.
Yes.
Yes.
I do have a question about, so I'm not saying that we did this and expecting something in return, but here's what we expect in return. No, just kidding. We hope that, and it sounds like it came through, which is that you guys are excited to be involved in your communities, and hopefully it's Sherwood, but even if it's not, wherever you end up, you realize that you can have an impact, and you know, it could be a career. It sounds like you met some people who've made it a career, and so that's one of the things that we're hoping that that we get back as a city is engaged citizens that are okay doing some of the boring work, knowing that you can make a difference and you can have an impact. So hopefully that came through, and hopefully you carry that with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Now,
And it was really cool to hear from all the other youth advisory councils, all the cool stuff they're doing in their communities. Like some of them are just like such amazing people, and I was like, wow, like you're awesome. Like I want to be like you, even though
Great.
they're like maybe in the same grade as me. But yeah, I'm really excited. Again, I'm the only one here for another year, so I'll be excited to be on that youth advisory council. And I think we've all talked really highly about just like the trip to our classmates and our teachers. And I think a lot of other students are really excited. Like I've been
Great.
like, hey, you should join that youth advisory council. Like you might be able to, you know, do some similar things, that kind of thing. So
great.
Awesome. Renee, did you want to have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but it was a true honor to be there with all of you, watch you as you experienced DC and all the other things that we did together. And I loved listening to you tonight. And what I was hearing from you, it's we. It's not council. It's not the students. It's we collectively can make a real difference in our communities. And hearing the four of you and just knowing that our future is bright with young leaders like you. Thank you for stepping up and going along on the trip. And Trevor, I look forward to seeing you join the Youth Advisory Board next year.
Councilor Mays, Keith, any?
No, I'm good. I'm glad they had a great time. Yeah, super awesome.
Anybody else? Dan?
I really appreciate you all coming tonight to talk to us about your trip. I went last year for my first time as an elected official, and it was a unique experience to go as a part of that. And so I imagine it's something similar with you going as representing the city here. And it sounds like we picked the right people to go, which is great to hear. So I'm just really excited for all of you, and it sounds like you all have some amazing ideas, it was really fun to hear tonight. So, thank you.
Thank you all. Yeah, thank you so much. Amazing presentation. It's one of the I have to say, one of the better ones we've had. Way more interesting than some of the stuff we talk about. But you guys are awesome. I had a great time on the trip, and I think for me, one of the reasons we started this Youth Advisory Council and this process is, there's so much noise in the media and what's happening at the federal level and sometimes even at state level. But there's a lot of wonderful people at the local level doing really important work, and I'm just so happy you got to see that. I'm so happy you're inspired by that, and I hope to hear about your journey as you guys go through your careers. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful people at the local level.
Well, I know that for a fact in Sherwood, but
Well, and I would
yes,
say,
but in general, yes.
and I would say I agree with that as well. Is what you find at the local level is really more nonpartisan. Like with all the difference of opinions up here, yet we work well to come to a solution for whatever is needed in front of us. I had one more thing though, and it's a little bit off topic, but I was watching the school board meeting last night, and I heard we had a national merit finalist. So I'm going to put Kylie on the spot. I'm not going to put you on the spot. I'm just going to say congratulations for that, for being the finalist. We heard all about
That's
it, but
amazing.
good job.
That's
Congratulations.
amazing. Good job. Do you have any questions for us?
I do have a question just about the Youth Advisory Council application. I think I found it online and it's filled out. It's just like that PDF with like 3 questions, or is that a different?
I'm going to let Kristen answer that.
Okay. Oh, okay, perfect.
Have we officially advertised that for applicants yet? Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Chomp at the bit.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well,
guys,
thank you
for
guys.
coming.
Thank you.
heard somebody had to go somewhere, feel free. You don't have to stay for the whole meeting, but if you want to, you know, it's pretty exciting from here on out. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, that was amazing. Thanks again for coming. All right, city manager report.
Just a couple items tonight, Mayor. Just want to thank everybody who was able to attend the volunteer recognition dinner last week. It was nice to see everybody there. Budget meeting this Thursday night, 6 o'clock here at City Hall. The last 2 spans of the bridge went up. It's a major milestone for the project. And then you should have received today from our finance department the community enhancement program. I think there was a couple emails sent out on that for you to be able to score. And then we'll have a meeting on June 3rd with the Metro Councilor to go through the scoring and to award what we're going to award this year. And then I believe Sebastian had something, Mayor, tonight to mention.
Mayor and Council, if you don't mind, I'd like to introduce a new law clerk, Nicholas Wesley. Would you come on up, please? Nicholas, I'll ask you to give a brief introduction, but if you don't mind, I'll give a little bit of your background as well. Sure. Nicholas is from Santa Rosa, California originally. He had his BA at Cal Poly and a master's in accounting from UCSD. I met Nicholas at the Northwest Career Fair where he expressed some interest. He's a rising 3L, which means he's going to start his 3rd year of law school at Lewis and Clark Law, and he's already court certified. So got him working on a lot of interesting projects, and I'm really looking forward to being able to do a trial with him soon. But would you mind giving a little bit more about yourself?
Thanks, Sebastian. Mayor Rosner, members of the City Council, it's my pleasure to make this introduction. As Sebastian mentioned, my name is Nicholas, and I am the summer law clerk for the city. In addition to some of the background that Sebastian mentioned, I also wanted to note that my professional experience thus far has primarily been in accounting. I have a master's degree in accounting. I also have a certified public accountant certification. And before coming to law school, I worked for a small public accounting firm in San Diego, mostly doing audits of nonprofit companies and single audits. So that's my professional background, and I am a rising 3L at Lewis and Clark Law School, mostly with an interest in environmental and criminal law. But in the few weeks that I've been here, I've really enjoyed the exposure that I've gotten to local government law and the variety of issues that you deal with. Mostly I've been working in traffic enforcement cases, but also legal research in any questions that really come through Sebastian's office. I've worked with Sylvia on some public records issues, and just today we spoke about the possibility of getting Sherwood more public transit. I think that was an issue that Councilor Giles, you were interested in. I also wanted to mention that I've really enjoyed the time that I've spent in Sherwood so far. Exploring the city has been really fun. One of the things that I do on breaks every lunch is try to go to a new spot around the city, whether it's a park or a restaurant or just one of the shops downtown. That's been really fun, exploring the city. And as I mentioned, I came to law school because I was interested in environmental law and also criminal law to a certain extent. But I found that working in local government has brought me a lot closer to the average person, and the intersection between the law and the private person has been really interesting, because in environmental law, for example, a lot of that work is with large corporations, and so you don't really see how the law impacts people in their everyday lives. but that's not the case here. I think in everything, all the issues that I've dealt with, there's some connection with how the law impacts people in their everyday lives, and that's important to me because sometimes it's easy to lose focus of what the law means, why it's important, when you're just in a classroom reading books, studying for finals. So I've really enjoyed getting to see how that connection is formed with people in the law every day. So I'm happy to take questions if you have any.
So it's budget season, so if you want to pull some double duty here, I'm sure we can figure something out.
Sounds like you know fund accounting.
That was not my focus, but I did have to learn that, yes.
And we've got environmental problems. We've got criminals. You can just go to town.
Why look over there?
The police chief.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we've got lots for you to do here.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Renee. Sorry.
How did you make the jump from being an accountant to law?
Yeah, so I really wanted to do something that had more of an impact on people. Like I said, I thought that as an accountant, most of that work was kind of at a desk, and I didn't see people as much in that role. That's why I wanted to do something that had more of an impact on the community, and I really enjoyed listening to the kids that were up here before, because I think that is such an important part of living in a community, is like participating in the governance of the community. And I really want to echo what Mayor Rosner said about how, despite what's going on at the federal level, people really need to be shown that what happens at the local level can be more important to how the quality of life that people live in the community. So, yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Yeah, I had one.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Dan.
How did you end up finding Sherwood, or how did you get picked for this?
Councilor Stanke, thanks for the question. As Sebastian mentioned, we spoke at what's called the Northwest Public Service Career Fair. That's an annual career service event that I believe several law schools in the Pacific Northwest participate in. So employers and the schools get together and advertise positions. I saw that this position was advertised and applied, and interviewed. Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
I mean, Sherwood's way different than San Diego.
Yes.
I'm a San Diego transplant myself.
Okay, great. Yeah.
So you've been in Oregon, you may never want to go back. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I never did, 20 years later.
Yeah. I'm not from a small town, I would say. Santa Rosa, I think, is about 100,000 people, but it has a smaller feel to it, and I really do prefer that to large cities. I spent like maybe less than a year, 8 months, I would say, in Los Angeles after I graduated and got out of there very quick. I just did not like the large city. So I really enjoy working in Sherwood because of that. Yeah.
Is there a Santa Rosa in Southern California?
No, it's northern.
It's northern. It's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's north of San Francisco.
Yes,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
that's where I was born and raised, and then I moved to San Diego after
Oh, okay.
college and worked there
Yeah.
as an accountant. Yeah.
Well, we're trying to become the gateway to wine country up here. I know
Great,
Santa
yeah.
Rosa is trying to
Yes.
do that where they are, but so again, you could also get into our marketing as we're
Yeah,
looking
great.
to rebrand.
Yeah.
There's lots of opportunities there.
Did you enjoy Cal Poly?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I do miss being close to the ocean.
Avila Beach is a nice
Yeah.
little spot there.
Yeah. Mhm.
I lived down there for a while.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Close to the beach. I went to college in Point Loma.
Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of areas like that in California that are nice, yeah. But I've really enjoyed living in Oregon as well, so yeah.
Awesome. I'd like to say we put up with the rain for the incredible summers.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to it, yeah.
Agree. Agree.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for joining the Sherwood team.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Anything else, Craig?
That's all I have tonight.
Chief? Anything? Awesome. We'll move on to council announcements. Dan, you want to go first tonight?
Sure. The school board meeting happened last night, and as Kim pointed out, we did have a National Merit student from our school district, which is a pretty prestigious honor if you want to look it up. They don't just give that to anybody. And yeah, it's pretty amazing that we have one of those at our school district. The other thing of note from that meeting was that next school year, the entire school district, K through 12, will be going door to door for cell phones. And so cell phones will be put away for the entirety of the school day, from when you enter the building to when you leave the building, which is a policy shift for the high school. The K through 8 was doing that pre-4, but the high school will be implementing that next year as well for the first year. And so they wanted to get that out ahead of time, to give some lead time for parents and students to adjust to that change for next year.
The studies on this are overwhelming.
Yeah.
So that's a good move.
Yeah, a lot of support from state and parents and teachers. It's been wonderful success at the middle school, and so hoping for the same thing.
Are they asking people to keep them at home, or are they?
It's up to the
like
student.
In your bag, in your pocket,
yeah, as long as it's away in your car.
And what
so
are
enforcement will be an issue.
What are they hoping that will happen in place of having phones out all day?
I mean, the goal is friendship building, really, in the end. That socialization that really isn't happening now with everybody looking at their screens.
Would the goal be learning?
Both.
Well,
baby steps, baby
Social.
steps.
Talking to people instead of your phone.
Yeah. And they reviewed science curriculum, which looks cool, but I mean, you'd have to look into that because it's so extensive with what they're doing there. But it sounds like they have a good plan for these next few years with the curriculum. And the election is tonight. You have 9 minutes to get your ballot in still. Yeah, that's all I have.
Awesome. Not a whole lot for me. Vote if you haven't already, and then Thursday, I think this will be announced by someone, but our first budget meeting will be this Thursday here in this room, 6 o'clock, I believe, 6 to 9. So you can attend in person, you'll be able to watch online. Look, we're doing a 2-year budget for the first time at Sherwood, so I'm looking forward to getting into that, getting into the details, and going through all that starting on Thursday. And then the only other thing was I was able to attend the volunteer dinner last week, and just shout out to Tammy and crew and everybody who did all the work. I'm sure you're involved too to put all that together. Really a nice event, and just want to thank all the people and the volunteers, and only a fraction of them made the event, obviously, but the hundreds and hundreds of people who donate tens of thousands of hours, I think, over the course of the year here in our community. And it was really neat to talk to some of those that were there that I don't get to talk to on a regular basis. And but I just want to thank everyone else in the community who wasn't able to attend, but that know that your efforts are really what makes this place work. So along with, of course, our wonderful staff. So thank you all.
Thank you, sir. All right. Planning Commission's meeting next Tuesday. They are going to. They're still working. In fact, I got an email today. They're still working on a revision of our annexation policy. That once they get that finished, and they're working on some stuff with Metro as well, they'll put it to us to review. So I don't think it'll be done by Tuesday. In the email I saw, it looks like it might be pushed off.
Pushed it out to the end of June.
Yeah. So, let's see. Volunteer night was great. I do have to do a special acknowledgement. I don't know if you're going to talk. Are you going to talk about Linda? Okay. I was going to say Linda Henderson, a longtime volunteer, and I knew her from the art scene, from the Sherwood Foundation for the Arts, and from having scenes together in Music Man 20 years ago, almost 15, 18, something like that. Is when I first met her, and always super supportive of the arts. And even though, technically we were a competing arts organization, the Voices for the Performing Arts, we were helping each other out all of the time. And I just, the amount of time and effort, I'm not even talking, I didn't know her as a city councilor until recently, because embarrassingly, I didn't pay a lot of attention to city politics at the time, but I just knew her as
the lady who was helping out with every single art thing. Literally, like, we never put on a play or an exhibit or anything without her attending, and so it was always just. And so she has a memorial coming up on May 31st at the Art Center, which is a fitting place to remember her. Anyway, that is, I think all the other stuff has been mentioned off my list.
Right. Thanks, Taylor. Renee.
I don't have a lot because I was out of the country. Was sad to have missed the volunteer appreciation dinner. But I'm sure it sounds wonderful, and I'm sure that it was. Thank you for the city for putting that on. Reminder that the Saturday market is open, so to come down and visit Cannery Square and across the street and to pick up some cool items, fruits, vegetables, and other things that are available for you. And a shout out to the Sherwood Center for the Arts for the open mic night we attended last night, and it's well done. Lots of poetry, lots of really good piano solos, and I look forward to attending more in the future. And I too want to recognize the passing of Linda Henderson, who was definitely a true servant leader for our community. And what a loss, but her legacy will truly live on in all that she did for the city and for the different nonprofits that she served, and I'm just, my condolences to the family.
Thanks, Renee. Keith?
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, tragic passing of Linda, a true community leader, servant leader. Her influence can be seen at every corner of our community, and things that she's done during the last 30 years. I consider myself fortunate to have been her friend, and sad thing.
Well, now I'm just going to talk about Linda. Forget. Well, 2 Thursdays ago, I attended Bike and Roll to Middleton Elementary School, which is a great event to encourage kids to walk to school, roll to school, scooter, ride their bikes. It was organized by Middleton staff and city staff. Rich was there, Joy Chang was there, a couple of our police officers were there, and I took a picture of the bike racks at the end, and I'd never seen so many bikes at the school. It was pretty amazing, so thank you, staff, for putting that on. Linda was one of my very, very best friends, and so her passing last Friday was, it's pretty hard. Our families vacation together. I pick up the phone to call her when I have good news to share, which was last Saturday. I wanted to do that in the morning. It hits you, you can't do that. But no fitting place than to have her memorial at the Art Center, which she was very instrumental in having built in the city of Sherwood. So like Taylor said, that will be next Saturday, May 31st at 3 o'clock at the Art Center. The community is welcome. I hope like Keith said, she touched so many areas in this town. Craig gave me a list of things on her 12 years of city council. I think several years on the Parks Board before that. So many things that she touched in the city of Sherwood, that I hope the community comes out and supports her family. She's got 2 young adult sons, her husband, her 96-year-old mom that lives with them, her sister, nephew. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, just a couple quick things. We'll start with Linda. Yeah, that was. I still can't believe Linda's not with us anymore. She's just an amazing human being, amazing volunteer in this community. It's just about I think Keith said it, everywhere you look in the community, you can see something that Linda worked on, from the Arts Center to Cannery Square. I mean, the list just goes on and on. But not just for those types of projects. She's part of the reason that I'm sitting here tonight. Linda was phenomenal at inspiring people to volunteer and do work in this community. And I think at the volunteer appreciation night, I spent a moment talking about Linda, and I just asked everybody in the room to raise their hand if they knew Linda, and I couldn't find anyone that didn't raise their hand. And I would be willing to bet a lot of them were in that room because they knew Linda. So she will be sorely missed. So, and that's all I have. So if there's nothing else for the good of the order, I'll adjourn the meeting. We good? Did you have something, Dan? Oh yes, we got we're going to adjourn the regular meeting, or jump right into the URA board meeting. And I need to go grab an agenda. Just a sec. You going? Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. All right. We will call to order the URA Urban Renewal Agency Board of Directors meeting, Tuesday, May 20th, 2025 at 2 minutes to 8. Roll call.
Chair Rosner.
Here.
Vice Chair Young.
Here.
Member Browse.
Here.
Member Mays.
Here.
Member Scott.
Here.
Member Stankey.
Here.
Member Giles.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. We just got a consent agenda tonight, so this will be easy. We have 3 items on the consent agenda tonight. A, approval of the March 18th, 2025 URA board meeting minutes. Item B, URA Resolution 2025-003, adopting a plan of action for financial control deficiencies. And item C, URA Resolution 2025-004, authorizing an interfund loan from the Water Fund to the 2021 URA Capital Projects Fund. Do I have a motion?
Move consent.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, board. Do we have any citizen comments? Do we have any Sylvias? Do we have any citizen comments?
No, we do not.
Okay, thank you.
Point of order or question, I guess, here. We did this authorization of the interfund loan in the city council session. Do we have to do it in the URA to accept that money in?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to do it on both sides.
Okay.
Yep. Good question, though.